Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Black magic and sorcery is said to have been introduced in the times of Solomon, and it is said that two angels, Harut and Marut, who descended upon earth in his times, were the source of this evil and this black magic. This actually is mentioned in, the actual incident is mentioned in Surah Baqarah, verse 102, and as we read through the exegesis and the commentaries of the Quran regarding this verse, we find out that the source of black magic is attributed to Harut and Marut, and our tafsir books and our commentary books on the Quran generally narrate an incident in detail in the background of this verse and the group of verse in which it occurs, and that is that it is said that the angels actually spoke to God when they saw that he was treating mankind very leniently, and mankind was prone to a lot of evils and a lot of bad things, and they were persistently misusing their authority. So the angels said that they were actually, God was being too lenient to them. And God said that the amount of attraction, appeal that the progeny of Adam has actually is the reason because of this happens. And so it was made possible for two very pure angels to descend on the face of the earth and face these trials themselves. And it is said that the two very pure angels, Harut and Marut, actually descended on the face of the earth in Babylon, in Babel. And for a while, they led very pious lives. But then they were actually ensnared by the beauty of a woman, and they had longing for her. They ended up having or wanting sexual relations with her, and she somehow escaped from them. And it is also reported by some that she actually introduced them to wine and liquor, and they were also guilty of killing an innocent person. And all this, of course, made God very angry, and he was about to inflict a very, very heavy punishment on them, when it is said that another angel, or some say a prophet, actually interceded on behalf of them and said that they should be given this choice of either eternal punishment of hell in the afterlife or perpetual punishment in this world. And it is said that they chose perpetual punishment in this world, and hence they were consigned to a well in Babylon, and they are being punished in that well. So this is the incident which is generally found in our tafsir books regarding this verse. And Ustaaz Amin Ahsan Islahi has actually challenged this interpretation and has said that as far as the words of the Quran are concerned, they do not accept this whole incident, and they have an entirely different story to tell. The angels Harut and Marut never taught black magic. It's a very wrong thing to conclude. And but before I actually present Ustaaz Amin Ahsan Islahi's interpretation and his view on this, I'd like to just read out the concerned verses before you and also translate them before you, so that you may be able to know how he has translated and interpreted this whole incident, as is mentioned in Surah Baqarah. So just take a look at the screens, and you'll find out that the being displayed before you is the text of these verses. So they read as وَلَمَّا جَاءَهُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ مُصَدِّقٌ لِمَا مَعَهُمْ نَبَذَ فَرِيقٌ مِّنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ كِتَابُ اللَّهِ وَرَاءَ ظُهُورِهِمْ كَأَنَّهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ وَاتَّبَعُوا مَا تَتْلُو الشَّيَاطِينُ عَلَى مُلْكِ سُلَيْمَانَ وَمَا كَفَرَ سُلَيْمَانُ وَلَكِنَّ الشَّيَاطِينَ كَفَرُوا يُعَلِّمُونَ النَّاسَ السِّحْرَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى الْمَلَكَيْنِ بِبَابِيلَ هَارُوتَ وَمَارُوتَ وَمَا يُعَلِّمَانِ مِنْ أَحَدٍ حَتَّى يَقُولَا إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ فِتْنَةٌ فَلَا تَكْفُرْ فَيَتَعَلَّمُونَ مِنْهُمَا مَا يُفَرِّقُونَ بِهِ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَزَوْجِهِ وَمَا هُمْ بِضَارِّينَ بِهِ مِنْ أَحَدٍ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ وَيَتَعَلَّمُونَ مَا يَضُرُّهُمْ وَلَا يَنْفَعُهُمْ وَلَقَدْ عَلِمُوا لَمَنِ اشْتَرَاهُ مَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. So the translation is that when there came to them a messenger from God in confirmation of what was before them, this of course is referring to the Jews. So in confirmation to what was before them, a group from among them nabaza fariqum min allazina utul kitab, a group from among them which belonged to the people of the book threw away God's book behind their backs as if they did not even know it. وَاتَّبَعُوا مَا تَتْلُو الشَّيَاطِينُ عَلَى مُلْكِ سُلَيْمَانَ, and they began going after what the devils would teach in the times of Solomon. And Solomon did not commit disbelief. It was the devils, in fact, who committed disbelief. They used to teach sorcery and magic to people, and what was revealed to the two angels in Babel, and the name of the angels they were Harut and Marut. And these angels used to say that we would not teach anyone, and these angels would say that they would not teach anyone unless they would say that we are a trial and you should not commit disbelief. And these people, فَيَتَعَلَّمُونَ مِنْهُمَا مَا يُفَرِّقُونَ بِهِ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَزَوْجِهِ, that they would learn from these two angels what would actually cause dissent between a husband and wife. And it should be known that they cannot harm anyone except with the permission of God. And these people used to learn what would be of harm to them and not of benefit. And they very well knew that any person who has a share, who earns this, will have no share in the hereafter. So you can see, dear viewers, that because of these verses, it is said, in fact, to be precise, if you look at these dashes, I have actually put them there to let you know how Ustaaz Amin Ahsan Islahi has differed in his translation of these verses. So generally these verses are translated such that the verb wattaba'u is connected not only to ma tatlu shayateen, which would mean that they went after, they followed what the devils taught, and this then is connected to, of course, as I would say that the general interpretation is that as these verses go on, just disregard this parenthetical or this part between these dashes and see how it is generally translated. So the way this verse is generally translated is that these people, or the Jews of the times of the Prophet, they would go after what the devils would be teaching in the kingdom of Solomon. And Solomon did not commit disbelief. It was these devils who committed disbelief. They used to teach people sorcery, and they used to teach them what was actually revealed to the two angels, Harut and Marut, at Babel. So Ustaaz Amin Ahsan Islahi says that this is not a correct translation, and actually what we must understand is that وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى الْمَلَكَيْنِ is not related to يُعَلِّمُونَ النَّاسَ السِّحْرَ. It is actually related to وَاتَّبَعُوا مَا تَتْلُو الشَّيَاطِينَ. So in his opinion, the parsing or the way this verse has to be understood is that the words between these dashes are parenthetical in nature. The verse مَا تَتْلُو الشَّيَاطِينُ عَلَى مُلْكِ سُلَيْمَانَ is now connected to وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى الْمَلَكَيْنِ. So this parenthetical sentence is just an on-the-spot explanation, and in fact acquits Solomon of any bad thing. And يُعَلِّمُونَ النَّاسَ السِّحْرَ actually ends this parenthetical sentence. So this يُعَلِّمُونَ النَّاسَ is not connected to the next part. It is not that they taught magic to people and they taught what was revealed to the angels. So what he actually says is that وَاتَّبَعُوا مَا تَتْلُو الشَّيَاطِينَ and then وَاتَّبَعُوا مَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى الْمَلَكَيْنِ is the right way that we have to understand this verse, that they went after what the devils used to teach, and they went after what was revealed to the two angels at Babel who were called Harut and Marut. So if you understand this particular construction, the way Ustaaz Amin Ahsan Islahi has actually referred to it, you will come to know that he says that these words are not connected in any way with وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى الْمَلَكَيْنِ, and because of the fact that it is said that these angels not only taught sorcery to people, they also taught what was revealed to these two angels at Babel, and these were called Harut and Marut. So what the point that he is making is that if first of all this construction is accepted, then there would be a mere repetition of words, which would mean that وَاتَّبَعُوا مَا تَتْلُو الشَّيَاطِينَ, They actually went after what the devils used to teach, and then we have those verses, يُعَلِّمُونَ النَّاسَ السِّحْرَ. They would teach sorcery to people, and they would teach what was revealed to these two angels. Of course, because they say that what was revealed to these two angels was black magic, so Islahi would say that, Ustaaz Islahi would say that this is a mere repetition and is totally uncalled for. So when you say that they taught magic and sorcery to people and they taught black magic to people, so why the repetition should take place? So on the other hand, he says that this verse actually ends at a particular spot, and وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى الْمَلَكَيْنِ is actually a new sentence and is related to the verb وَاتَّبَعُوا earlier. So this is of course slightly technical and it might be slightly difficult to understand as well, but I would urge you to read the tafsir of Ustaaz Islahi of this particular verse and the set of verses. It is available in English as well and in Urdu as well. And some of the other points of his critique are also worth considering. He says that from the part وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى الْمَلَكَيْنِ بِبَابِلَ هَارُوتَ وَمَارُوتَ, the word unzila is being used, which tells us that excuse me, that whatever was black magic, they think it was black magic, was revealed by God, because the word is unzila. So this is of course very improbable that we would say that the black magic was revealed by the Almighty, because of course the Almighty cannot do such things, and because black magic is called disbelief and because it is condemned. So if this construction is understood the way it is generally understood by our contemporary scholars, then it would actually entail that because the word unzila is used for these angels, that what was revealed to them was actually revealed, sent down, then it would automatically mean that God had actually sent down that black magic. And the third point of view that he makes is that angels themselves are pure beings. They are absolutely devoid of any leanings towards evil, and hence it is so improbable to think that something of the sort of black magic would be revealed to angels. The black magic could have been revealed to devils or to evil souls or evil beings, but how can it be accepted that black magic was revealed to these two angels? And then finally he also says that whatever was revealed to these two angels, it is actually described in such a way in these verses that it cannot be applied to black magic or sorcery, because you see, these angels used to say that whatever we have for you has a double aspect to it. If you misuse it, it will make you commit disbelief. And if you use it positively, of course, the alternative meaning was, the other part was, then that would be okay. So this, of course, is not the property or not the very something which can be termed as black magic. It is a discipline which they used to teach, which had both positive and negative impact. If it was used positively, it could be positive, and if it was used negatively, its misuse would cause a lot of havoc, and hence this cannot be called black magic, because black magic is something which is totally evil. And you can clearly see that these people used to learn from these two angels something which would cause dissension and dissent between the husband and wife, and they used to learn things from these angels which were of harm, which caused harm more than that caused any benefit. So all these things tell us that Ustaaz Amin Ahsan Islahi actually says that وَمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَى الْمَلَكَيْنِ بِبَابِلَ وَهَارُوتَ وَمَارُوتَ, which means that what was revealed to these two angels, Harut and Marut in Babel, cannot be black magic at all. However, of course, we do know that it was something, it was definitely some sort of knowledge discipline which was given to them, and hence that cannot be denied. And he has also said that there are instances in which we find that people have these special ESP powers, and they have these special things that they have in which they are able to influence other people. And of course, that is something which is not black magic at all. In fact, if it is anything, it's an antidote to magic and black magic. And it seems that in the times of the Prophet Solomon, because there was a lot of sorcery going on, these two angels had been sent down by the Almighty specifically to counter that magic. So instead of being a source of black magic, they were actually an antidote to the magic that was being taught by the devils in his own times. And this is in accordance with the practice of the Almighty as well, that once something becomes rampant and becomes a cause of great trial for people, he sends down its remedy as well. So what was revealed to these two angels was not black magic at all. It was in fact a remedy to the sorcery and magic being practiced by people or by devils in the times of Solomon. So with these words, he actually says, he dismisses this explanation or this story which is mentioned in our tafsir books, and says that it cannot at all be said that these two angels were the source of black magic. However, whatever discipline was revealed to them was of pure nature. It had some very powerful effects, and we still have the remnants of such this knowledge in some of our people. But of course, because of the fact that a lot of evil has crept into such things, we can never. It's difficult to find out or pinpoint if this discipline still exists. And there are people pious and people who are very careful in the use of this discipline, and hence they are also able to counter magic. So as a conclusion, I would say that Ustaaz Islahi says that it is wrong to attribute the source and origin of black magic to these two angels. Now, as far as magic itself is concerned, or the effects of magic are concerned, of course they cannot be denied, that they do exist. But the antidote of this is not going to people who claim to be to have antidotes and remedies to magic, because more often than not they are superstitious in their nature, and whatever they suggest is often based on polytheistic practices. So the best way to actually counter black magic or any sort of evil thing is that, first of all, we must go to a proper doctor and show ourselves whether there is any psychological or psychiatric problem with us, because many a time these things which we think are affecting us have a very psychological and psychiatric origin. And if, of course, that's not being able to solve, then the best way and the best antidote that we have is that we have to seek God's refuge. And the best way to seek God's refuge in this matter is to keep reciting the last two surahs of the Quran, Surah Falak and Surah Nas, because these are the surahs which give us in the refuge of the Almighty and give us in His protection. And there are other supplications, du'as of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ as well, which give us in the protection of the Almighty. So if we think there is some such happening is inflicting us, we should try to keep God in remembrance as much as possible, associate ourselves with Him, bring ourselves in His protection and refuge, and also remain in the state of wuzu, which is the ceremonial ablution, as far as possible, because we must know that as these verses also say, وَمَا هُمْ بِضَارِّينَ مِنْ أَحَدٍ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ, that people cannot harm other people through this magic or through these evil things unless it is by God's permission. So it is only through God's permission that such things can happen, and hence we need to bring ourselves into God's protection and seek His protection. So the bottom line is that it is erroneous to attribute the fact that Harut and Marut were the source of black magic, as is generally understood while reading these verses. They in fact were a source of an antidote, of a remedy of magic, not a source of magic themselves. And although that discipline was in vogue in the times of Solomon, and we do have its remnants in various eras, and even today there are people who have such effects, and they are also very pious and they don't misuse it. But since it is very difficult to pinpoint them and to go to them and even to identify them, the best way, if we come across any such feeling that we are under a spell or something, as I said, is that we must first of all go to a doctor and find ourselves a good consultant in this matter. And it's only when his remedy is not working, or maybe to a couple of doctors, that if their remedies are not working, then we should think that there is perhaps something that we are not being able to identify, and it could be of the sort of magic. And for that, we have to actually make ourselves or bring ourselves under the refuge and protection of the Almighty. And of course, this can be done through the supplications and du'as and attaching ourselves to the Almighty, and not going to people who in today's world claim themselves to be magicians or sorcerers, because we do find a lot of religious innovation, which is bid'ah, and shirk, which is polytheism, in whatever they say, and it is best to stay away from them. But as I said, as far as the Quran is concerned, we need to understand that such disciplines do exist, but their antidote is that we try to bring ourselves into God's protection through supplications and through having a strong God connection. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات.